The industry continues to pluck along this week with new releases, though this time leaning more on the unique side of things with bold uses of lume, a hunter-style case, and a futuristic use of the digital regulator. And as we dig into those stories, I'm going to share a few behind-the-scenes peeks into the industry of things that I attended this past week that I really want to share with all of you. So sit back and relax as I break down news from just this past week in the watch industry while putting my own weird little twist on things, because this is time well spent. Yes, Christopher Ward is back again with another new release as the elegant chiming C1 Bel Canto goes a little bit sporty, this time with the Lumier. Swapping refinement for a bold design language, this latest refinement aims to bring sound to life by day and night with what they deem a neon color scheme. A full disc of Globalite ceramic replaces the timing ring, as lumed hands indicate the time of day inside. Emanating from its 12 o'clock position, the main dial surface features a sunray pattern with beams of superluminova bursting towards its outer edge. The entire thing puts on a jarring spectacle both in direct light and low light situations, as it really punches up the design language of the Bel Canto and in a lot of ways overshadows that chiming mechanism typically highlighted on its surface. Not to be outdone, the watch can come on bracelet, though has been paired primarily and shown off on a white rubber strap, which itself has been infused with superluminova for one complete glowing package. It is a bit of novel fun from a brand really pushing its boundaries, making sure that no matter how hard anyone tries, no one can put them in a box. And before we move on from Christopher Ward, I do want to give them a quick shout out, as they're actually building a new showroom and boutique right here in SoHo in my backyard, and I got to stop in there and spend a little bit of time there before the entire thing has been built out. The space is in an awesome location. It has a ton of potential, and they already have a ton of fun events planned for the space, so if you're in New York City, keep an eye out. Now, this next story is not a new release, however has immense industry importance that you probably didn't realize quite at first. In a massive industry move, LVMH, Louis Vuitton, Moet, and Hennessy purchased a minority stake in Joux-Perret from the Citizen Group. On its surface, you might be thinking, okay, big company buys small part of a big company from another company. Who cares? Well, it is important to remember that a while ago, when Edda dominated the market in terms of Swiss movement manufacturing, supplying all sorts of brands from big to small, Swatch Group made the move to buy them, bring them in-house, and effectively start the process of cutting off supply to the rest of the industry, forcing brands towards the likes of Solida, Soprod, and Joux-Perret. Now, looking at the current market, Joux-Perret has done an excellent job of carving out a sector of the market in offering an alternative Swiss-made movement similar to that of the Mido 9000 series, though slightly better spec'd and certainly more highly regarded in some circles, being used now quite frequently in favor of those other popular Swiss calibers like the Solida SW200, due in part to the G100 series increased power reserve. While the news of LVMH acquiring a minority stake certainly means that it opens up the opportunity for their house brands Tag Heuer, Zenith, Hublot, Bulgari, and Tiffany to have more access to high-end Swiss-made calibers at scale, especially the solar quartz movements, it also means that they now have enough equity to influence decisions such as selling off Joux-Perret and its assets, including brands like Frederic Constant, Angelice, and Arnold & Son, which currently reside under the Citizen brand umbrella. Largely, it could be a great move that strengthens a movement maker while beefing up a few brands that could use a little bit of juice at the movement. However, it could mean that Joux-Perret gets a little bit harder to source, meaning that those brands looking to outspec their competitors using Solida movements have to now look elsewhere. Back to new releases, the underrated brand Chronoswiss dropped a pair of new releases, the Neo Digiteur in sand and granite. A modern reinterpretation of the jump hour watches from the 20s and 30s, these triple window jump hour watches cased in steel are a slight departure from the exclusively precious case option Digiteurs from the past. Available in limited runs of 99 pieces each, the new version features either a sand dial, which is 4N gold-plated sandblasted for texture, or the granite dial, which is an anthracite color and vertically brushed for finish. They read with an hour window at 12, a central minute indicator, and a running second indicator down at 6, just above the Digiteur text, creating this visually interesting jump hour regulator look. On its reverse, you have a porthole glimpse of the manually wound caliber C.85757 inside, operating at 3 Hz with a 48-hour power reserve. At just over $15,200, these energy-hungry watches are equally impressive mechanically as they are to look at from a brand that most people just overlook. As a celebration of its 10th rebirth day, Czapek has introduced a 130-piece limited edition of its Hunter case space-inspired time jumper. Twisting the forgotten concept of the pocket watch into a modern convention, the 40.5mm case features a half Hunter cover presented with a fresh twist guilloche to partially conceal the new openwork caliber 10.01 underneath. Remaining visible at the center through a large magnified porthole is the hour indicator in a 24-hour scale with a minute register window cut down at 6. With an equally intricate visual design language when open or closed, the wrist-worn pocket watch concept is quite busy but celebrates the achievement and history of the brand while bringing a fresh new take to the table. The movement represents a piece designed, assembled, and 75% machined in-house, showing the trajectory of Czapek as they push for greater autonomy and freedom while still showcasing a willingness to collaborate. It is a wild showpiece with an out-of-this-world price tag that is really meant to be more of a statement than part of a real collection, which I'm always in favor of if they're willing to put a bold visual statement on it like Czapek is here. And as promised, a small peek behind the curtain into the industry, as I had a chance to go into Uptown Manhattan to the LVMH offices to do just a small bit of watchmaking with one of Zenith's in-house watchmakers. He guided us in disassembling the coupling arm and transmission wheel from the column wheel chronograph caliber El Primero 400, one of Zenith's most infamous chronograph movements used for quite some time now, including some of the revival chronograph pieces on the market today. We then had the chance to be guided through a tasting of private select bottles of Glenmorangie, Ardbeg, and Hennessy while learning about their private client experience club, which is honestly pretty mind-blowing as you can probably expect. And then they gave us these awesome Zenith blue hats, so thank you Zenith and LVMH. And while those are the stories I really wanted to dig into this week, a few others hit the headlines that I do want to touch on just very quickly here. Mido gave us the Season 1, Episode 2 of the TV Big Date Special Edition with its pixel noise design language. A follow-up to last year's version, the Episode 2 shrinks the scale of the textured color display, leaving a gridded gray perimeter which actually improves the legibility slightly and allows that Big Date display to pop just a little bit more. As an owner of the TV Big Date and a big fan of it, I really like the design of the original Season 1, but honestly, I think this one is even better. Unimatic and Todd Snyder team up once again for the Modelo Quattro U4 GMT, a sterile bezel, day-night, minimalistic pair of sub $1,000 GMT watches pairing no frills reliability and elevated styling into a limited edition collection. Pretty neat. Breitling has unveiled its holiday capsule collection as well as a North American only limited edition chronograph tourbillon. The capsule collection takes 5 core models and places them in 18-karat red gold cases to punch up the design language and complement the dial colors and movements with new combinations. They are very limited and only available at select boutiques and the Breitling website, and despite being quite expensive, they do offer pretty striking visuals, especially those Premier chronographs in my personal opinion. Then there's the new Premier B21 Chronograph Tourbillon 42, a North American limited edition to just 75 pieces and only available in the US and Canada. It pairs a gradient blue dial with a solid 18-karat red gold case, both of which accent the large tourbillon proudly displayed at 12. It is a beautiful watch blending an elegant design language with a technical one, and while it does retail at $75,000, to ogle it is completely free. Print media is not dead as Hodinkee continues to drop Hodinkee magazine, this time with volume 15. 168 pages of crafted stories, beautiful photography, and a bit of advertising. This issue has features on Jeff Goldblum, the Cartier Santos, and a reference points piece on Audemars Piguet's R&D series by my buddy Tan Wang. You can order it online now or grab it in person at Watches of Switzerland, which I'm probably going to do right after this recording. And I will of course have links to everything that we just talked about in that description down below, so if you want a deeper dive on those topics, head on down there. Tune in next week as we have quite a few new releases and industry events coming up that I want to share with you, including one new release that is very personal to me as a few of my friends really worked hard on this story, but I can't quite talk about it yet. If you do want to follow along in real time, please follow me on Instagram as I do tend to post live in the moment and would love to connect with all of you on there. But with all of that being said, I know that your time is very valuable and I really appreciate you spending some of it with me here. I will be back next week with another collection of stories, but until then, thank you for being here.